Tony mentions the insurance money that they're going to benefit off of it. I do want to go back really quick. When Tony entered Ralphie's home, he did offer him some eggs, and Tony said no, but now he's saying, you know what, I'll have some. Going back to the last episode where Carmela asked him about what coffee he'd like, and he mentions decaf for the first time. This is Tony putting on pressure. Tony pushes Ralphie again, mentioning the fact that they did back in season 1 at Vesuvio's. And then Ralphie argues about how much of a blessing this is, right? That Pyomai was hurt constantly and they could not afford it anymore. And now Tony's fully convinced that Ralphie did kill Pyomai. And then Ralphie points at all the hypocrisy Tony has. How could he care so much for an animal and not for the people that they themselves hurt? And then Tony swings at Ralphie. They have this really intense fight and Tony ends up killing him. Tony calls Christopher to help him dispose of the body. After they dispose of the body, they hang out at the bank for the night. We get this shot of Tony looking at a photo of Tracy, again being reminded of all the pain that Ralphie caused. And then we get this little scene of him walking through the Bing in darkness. Personally, I took this as another metaphor of him walking through hell himself, and then ending with the bright light of the next day. Again, this is this whiteness cleansing him. Ralphie being one of the most evil characters in the show, now he's finally dead, and he has now cleaned himself of the murder of Ralphie. There's tons of references within the show pointing towards Ralphie being the devil. I do want to talk about whether or not Ralphie did kill Pyomai. Personally, this is my 4th time rewatching the show. I remember my first time watching it and thinking Ralphie didn't kill him. I actually did root for Ralphie because I was upset and I believed him so much. And I was so mad that Tony would kill him, even though he's clearly telling the truth. If you've seen Talking Sopranos, David Chase does confirm that he does think Ralphie did kill the horse. One of the things the show does really well is even though it gives you signs to lead you to a certain answer, it never gives you a 100% confirmed one. And again, that fits even better, right, with this idea of truth and how these mobsters are always lying to each other. I do want to go back quickly to this scene with Paulie. Again, Tony says here, this is a business. Do not let emotions get in the way. But Tony, being the huge hypocrite that he is, he ends up killing Ralphie over emotions, over a horse. That is not to excuse the tragedy of Pyomai dying. That is not to say that I don't care about Pyomai. But that is to say that he is being a hypocrite, right? He told Paulie, do not do anything. But ultimately, Tony made the decision to do this. And when Chris helps Tony clean it all up, he asks him, what are the guys going to think? This is one of Tony's biggest faults as a boss. This is why this whole system is collapsing around him, because he himself cannot be a strong, silent type man that puts his emotions aside. He is very smart and powerful, but in these moments, he can't contain himself. This is a moment where he cracked, and losing your best earner, someone like Ralphie, is going to hurt him. I do want to emphasize, we're talking about mobsters here, but when Tony talks about being a good boss, this is not a great move for him. There's a lot I didn't talk about this episode. I would love to talk more in the comments. Thank you.